fast-paced world where everyday things are getting smaller and smaller. But it's still the really big things that power our world, keep us moving forward in a really big way. Coming up, it's the tallest, it's the fastest, it beats all the records. It's Kingda Ka at Six Flags Great Adventure.
It only takes less than 4 seconds for that bad boy to take off.
I push the buttons that launch the king of the roller coasters. Then, it's off to the Hardin Particle Collider, an atom-smashing machine in Switzerland that will help scientists discover the origins of the universe.
We have a lot of unanswered questions in physics, and we're trying to fill in some of the gaps. And you need a big machine in order to do that.
And later,
Oh my God!
if you like to get wet, you'll find over 50 ways to do it at Wisconsin's Noah's Ark Water Park.
All right.
I prep for opening day at this water wonderland.
The largest water park in the world. Ah, no way! What? No! No! Looks like the park is closed. Lucky for me, I got VIP access.
I'm at Six Flags Great Adventure in Jackson, New Jersey, atop the tallest, fastest roller coaster on Earth, the fierce Kingda Ka. This $25 million thrill ride breaks all world records for speed and height, zooming from 0 to 128 miles per hour in a mere 3.5 seconds, while catapulting you 45 stories into the sky. It's simply the most exhilarating 50.6 seconds of coaster action on the planet. Kingda Ka in Swahili means king of the rides.
Don't be fooled. We're actually in the same place on the exact same day. The only difference is we're 456 feet in the air. This is Larry. Larry's the head engineer here at Six Flags. How are you?
I'm good, Matt.
I'm okay. Cold. I'm very cold. You know, the change is we're on the tallest roller coaster in the world, and I'm wearing the smallest raincoat in the entire universe. But the weather is totally different than it is 456 feet below.
Yeah, you're right, Matt. I saw a little bit of sleet and snow go by me up here just a second ago, and it wasn't doing that down there.
I know, it's unbelievable. I mean, this just goes to show you how tall this coaster is.
Yeah, it's the biggest in the world, bar none. There's no other roller coaster anywore that's taller than this. You can't be higher on a roller coaster.
I mean, what's the G-force like? I mean, because I'm looking straight down, 456 feet, and it's basically a free fall, right?
Yeah, from here, once the train gets to here, it free falls. We're coming up from this side, and then we slow the slow speed right here and free fall.
One final surprise comes before the end of the run, a 129-foot tall camelback hill that offers plenty of negative G's or weightlessness, also known as airtime.
Right now I'm in the hydraulic room, and this huge drum above me is the reason that Kingda Ka is able to reach those lightning speeds of 128 miles per hour. Rick, how you doing?
Hi, Matt. How you been?
I've been good. This is Rick. Rick is an engineer for Six Flags, and I want to ask you, did you have a hand in building the Kingda Ka?
Absolutely. I was here during the construction of Kingda Ka.
How does this compare to other roller coasters that you've engineered?
Oh, I've been involved in a lot of them. This is the first one of the hydraulic style that we've worked on and done ourselves, but most of the coasters we're still doing are, you know, the chain lift coaster.
Back in the day, they built roller coasters out of the wood.
Right.
They're just gravity.
Gravity takes the train around the track, yeah.
So is this the latest, the most revolutionized model of roller coasters?
This is how we achieve the speeds and the heights. We have in the trough at the back of the launch rail, which you've seen, is we have a catch car. Okay. And on the front of the catch car, we have 2 launch cables, and on the rear, we have a cable that's what we call the return cable. Well, the launch cables are the 2 cables that would come in here on the top of the catch car.
So those are the 2 launch cables?
Absolutely.
And that's the power that launches it out?
That's what pulls it during the launch, absolutely. Okay. This cable we see on the bottom goes down and goes around on a pulley on the backside and comes to the back of the catch car, so it will pull the catch car back to the home position. The catch car's purpose is when the train goes out over the catch car, there's a dog that falls into the catch car from the train, and it locks the train to the catch car. So when we launch the catch car, the train is locked to it. as we achieve that 128 mile an hour, we know right where that catch car is by the position of this drum. So we try to achieve an acceleration rate and a point on the track, so we're at 128 mile an hour, and that way we can go over the top.
So those two cables right there are the reason that King Dakar is able to reach 128 miles per hour?
Absolutely, Matt. Here's a sample of the cable we have here.
Oh,
it's
nice.
a 25 millimeter cable, and when we launch that, what happens, that's like a rubber band that stretches. Yeah.
Is it steel?
Yep. And
So how does it stretch like a rubber band?
Well, I mean, if you put enough stress on it, that cable will stretch and it'll actually get narrower as we go. It's a slingshot effect. This is the catch car.
It's way better up here when you see it. No,
Yeah,
it totally
absolutely.
makes sense.
Now, when we've seen in the hydraulic room, you've seen the two launch cables up high. They're attached to the front of the catch car, and then, of course, on the back side, we have the return
So
cable.
this single one's the one that brings it back.
That's right. That was the one down low on the winch drum. So these are the launch cables, Matt, right here that we've seen up high on the on the drum.
All right, so I understand now. These cables stretch back like a rubber band. The dog drops into the catch car, this huge red catch car, shoots it off, and this thing's off and running.
That's right.
Does that mean that this huge drum is going at 128 miles per hour?
Absolutely. What it is, we have 48 hydraulic motors on the outsides of the drum that drive the drum itself. And what drives those motors is the accumulators and the pumps.
I couldn't have imagined so much technology and power behind a park ride.
Okay, Matt, let me show you how this hydraulic system kind of works.
Wow, this is a hydraulic system, huh?
Yeah. What you see up there, there's your motors. That's what actually turns the drum. Now we have 24 on a side. You know, there's a series of them on the inside of the drum and outside. But we need a lot of stored energy to achieve our goal and speed. So what we have here behind us is what they call the accumulators. Now, what
So these are accumulators, not hydraulics.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Now, what you have here is we have 4 nitrogen tanks. And this part up here, what you see is this is the actual accumulator itself. There's a piston in here that can run back and forth the whole length of this. Now, what happens is the nitrogen gas is on the back side of the piston. We pump oil in that and we push that that piston back with the gas pressure on the back side. You think of it as a super soaker. You know, when you were playing as a kid, you had this super soaker and you pump that up and you have a bunch of air on the back side of it pushing the water out. Well, the nitrogen gas is our air, and of course the oil would be our water. So before we launch, we push that piston all the way back, and this thing on the end is what we call the cartridge. Now that cartridge is responsible for sending the oil and the flow to the motors. Okay, so now we have 4 of these, and this is our charge. The train sits there, the dog falls in, we verify that it's in position, and we tell it to launch. The cartridge will release the oil, and you see the small lines going up and around the motors.
It's smaller than the ones with the pink ribbons on.
Yep. And then coming back out of the motor, the larger lines, which is the lower pressure, will drop the oil back into the tank, which is about 3,000 gallons of oil.
So do you guys keep using the same oil?
Absolutely. So what'll happen is we launch the train, and after the first train leaves, we pull the next train into position when all the conditions are good and the train has went over the top, and we begin to charge the system again. We have 7 of these motors, 3 on this side and 4 on the other. These are about a 600 horse motor apiece.
Okay.
Okay, so what they're responsible for is to achieve this charge again of oil and burn that 30 or 40 seconds while the train is getting out of the way and the other one's in position. We've charged these accumulators again, and we're ready to do our next launch.
Each day of operation, the coaster is inspected for safety, including the polyurethane wheels that hold the car above, below, and to the side of the tracks, as well as the magnetic brakes that use 3 different kinds of metal to slow the train at the end of the ride. I met with Bob, a maintenance engineer who inspects the hydraulic seat restraints that are imperative to the rider's safety. Behind every seat, there are not 1 but 2 hydraulic tanks to ensure the restraints do not move once locked in.
So these are the standard restraints that you have to basically fit into to ride King Dakar, right?
Correct.
If I can't fit into this seat, I can't ride King Dakar.
But you won't be able to ride with your hat on either.
All right.
Well, I mean,
What about now? So Bob,
Still
not
won't be
only are
able to
you the
ride with-
mechanic, you're the safety guy too, huh? Oh, that's easy. Is there like a size maximum that's, you know, might prevent someone from getting on the coaster?
there's a test seat out in front of where the queue line starts. And if you can't fit in the test seat, there's no sense in getting in line for the ride.
How do you know that I'm safe, that I'm good to go?
Once the restraint's all the way down and the belt is fastened, the line has to be below here so
Okay.
you'd be able to fit.
This yellow line right here?
Yes.
So I'm barely making the cut.
Right.
Okay, so now I'm in the launch room here with my boy Nick. Nick, we're overlooking all of the riders that are ready to go. Now, mind you, the park is closed, but these people are roller coaster enthusiasts, which basically means they ride coasters for fun, right?
Yes.
And kind of give you the feedback on whether they like it or not? Mm-hmm. That's a cool club to be into. And I've always wondered, I mean, I've seen these launch stations before when I go to amusement parks, and I never know what they mean. Why do you need so many buttons to just launch a coaster?
Well, really, you don't need all these buttons to launch the coaster. You only need these two here, which would be your launch permissives. Everything else in here is so that we can move the trains around in manual mode to reposition the trains when needed.
Okay, so I mean, just to give you an idea, you know, brake area breaks down, transfer track reverse, and these are the brains behind the train, and you're the brains behind the brains.
Well, some might argue with that.
I got you. So this is Angela. Where does Angela come in? Why is she here?
Angela is our operations manager over here at this ride, and she's basically in charge of all the people that are up here and down there as well.
Okay, so what do I do now?
Well, at this time right now, you take the microphone over here, and we're going to switch into the station monitors,
right.
And you're going to allow these people to dispatch their trains. Just say, left station attendants, clear to dispatch.
Left station attendants, clear to dispatch.
Once they come out onto the launch position, that's when we'll be concentrating on making sure that our launch track is clear. There's nothing obstructing the launch.
Gotcha.
And then at that time, we'll look down here, and we should be getting our flashing green lights, which gives us permission to launch.
Once I touch these two launch buttons, it only takes less than 4 seconds for that bad boy to take off. So back up, because here we go.
Arms down. Head back. Hold on.
Look at that. That is so fast. Yar she blows. It's almost like it barely makes it over. Brakes work. Track looks good. I'm ready to ride. Ever since I was a kid, I've always loved roller coasters, but now I know actually how they're made and how these things work. But I must say, I've never been on one that goes 456 feet in the air and 420 straight down. All at 128 miles an hour. This should be a breeze. Ah! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God!
It's really tall and it's really fast. Kingda Ka, it's a really big thing.